What is it like being a Jamaican in the Philippines? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today in Jamaicans to the World, I welcome Davin Bennett, a Jamaican living in the Philippines. Welcome, Davin. How are you?
I'm all right, Thanks for the welcome, and it's a blessing to be here on your platform. And I want to say mabuhay or good morning from the Philippines.
All right. We're going to touch on language a little bit later, but first, which part of Jamaica you come from?
I was born in Troja, St. Catherine. It's the borders of St. Catherine and St. Mary. And I was there for a couple of years. And then when I was about 11 years old, I moved to Spanish Town, which Gordon Penn, Gulf Heights, Spanish Town, St. Catherine.
All right. Big up to the Garden Pen people. What school, if you went to high school, what high school you represented?
Compre, as a matter of fact, it was called Compre first, then it became Spanish Town High School. So I did went to high school at Spanish Town High School, but I was there when it was the comprehensive first, and then we switched to Spanish Town High School.
As I say, you're old school, you're the original. You can't say, hey, I've been there through the name change.
Yes, yes, yes. I was. As a matter of fact, I was one of the last common entrance exam. Remember with the common entrance exam,
I
I was
remember.
I was the last batch for that
Oh wow.
1998.
Oh wow.
1998, the last batch for common entrance.
Yeah, they used to print that in the newspaper back in my day, and you run get the gleaner, or I think it's a gleaner, yeah, and you
Yeah,
check in,
see your
you know,
pass.
my pass or me no pass, and
Yeah,
oh
man.
boy, those are the days. So
Those were the days.
tell us your story. How did you get to the Philippines?
It's a long story now, but I'll make it short. And
We have
basically,
time, you know. We have time.
yeah.
Don't we want all of the interesting parts. So touch on the interesting highlights and so on. We have
All right, so here's the reality. My mom had me when she was 19 years old. Grew up fatherless, no father. When I was about 2 years old, my mom was on her own. When she got married and she lived in Gordon Penn, that's where she got married and she was living. I visited one summer and I said, Mom, I miss you. I don't like us being separated from each other. Can I live with you in Gordon Penn, St. Catherine? And she said yes. So she had me come and live with her. And it was a ghetto neighborhood where drugs, violence, crime. I mean, when you say garden pen, and I'll tell you more later on with some of the question, a bad place. And I didn't have no ambition, so to speak, where I'm in the ghetto and my natural thing is I just want to survive. I've seen a lot of my friends shot. I was shot at before, just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, almost lost my life. Rough neighborhood, as I said. And I look back at how I end up in the Philippines, and all I can say, one word, it's a miracle how I ended up in the Philippines, coming from a single parent household. God worked things out, and 2004, I became a Seventh day Adventist Christian. And when I became an Adventist Christian, I got my first opportunity to go to Canada to do missionary work as a Seventh day Adventist. And when I went to Canada, the missionary work was to knock on doors and sell Christian books. And it was the winter time. It's my first time to leave Jamaica. They told me
cold.
to dress warm. Yeah, man, they said dress warm. And when I have winter clothes in Jamaica, they say, the temperature was -7 degrees below
Oh,
zero. Ice, snow. Imagine your whole life you're born and raised in Jamaica, tropical island. The cool running scene where the guys were standing at the gate and they look at the snow and everybody. That was me. It was 8 of us. We reenacted that scene. We wanted to go back into the airport because the guy came and he said, "Okay, I'm gonna pull a 15-seater van to the front. When you see it, that door, make a run for it, go into the van." I mean, I tell you, Xavier, man, when we stepped out, we froze and we wanted to go right back in Pearson International Airport and head back to Jamaica. We were not dressed for the occasion. I was wearing two pants, four shirt, and man, first stop. The first stop was Walmart to get some winter clothes because we couldn't handle it, But I was there. I spent about 8 months. I was there in Canada, knocking on doors, doing missionary work, and I got another opportunity to go back two more occasions. So about 3 years consistently, I was able to go to Canada and do missionary work. I got enrolled in
I got used to the
university.
cold.
Yeah, me get used. After a while, your blood run warmer and you adjust.
But
you
you're
know,
saying
I
the
yeah.
university.
So I got a chance to enroll in Northern Caribbean University to take theology. And to be honest, after 3 years of studying, I felt like pastoral ministry was not my thing at all. I didn't feel it. And I started having the struggles with this whole thing. And I said, no, I want to be a missionary, not the pastoral thing. I want to be a missionary. So I quit. After 3 years, I quit university. Long story short, guys, Xavier, you know what happened next? I was talking to a friend who continued. He was my batchmate in university, taking theology as well. We were interacting with each other, and him said to me, he said, Davin, what you want to do? I said, Tucker, why I just want to be a missionary, man. Short training, straight into the missionary field, ministering to people. We say, all right, I have a friend who went to the US, took a short training for 6 months, and it will equip you to be what you call a medical missionary. It's like a crash course between nursing and med school. I say, all
Mm.
right, that sounds good. I got the phone number for her. I called her up. She gave me the website. I applied. And my Xavier, 2010, I quit university 2009. January 2010, I was in America for the first time. I said to myself, why? I remember we used to get some of the poutine and them from America and the sardine and something. I said, boy, you see, but they are foreign, I said, boy, I'm in America, I don't have no relatives. Because the thing is, Xavier, if you came to me when I was growing up and you said me I go travel, I would tell you, say, a liar tell. No, I don't believe you because
Yeah,
I don't
because
have
of where you're
no
coming from.
relatives.
Right.
Yeah,
Where you're coming
where I'm
from, you're
from,
like,
travel. Unless you're gonna be able to push drugs or get a farm work or so, you don't have access to the states because I
right.
don't have any relatives who are there who can file for me or go visit an aunt or uncle for the holidays, etc. So when I was in America for the first time, I was like, wow, God, why it's really a humbling life. I'm here to take medical missionary training. I worked my way to pay for the studies. I didn't have the money or the sponsorship, so I worked on the campus. I was cooking in the cafeteria because I told him I work in restaurants back home in Jamaica. So they put me in the cafeteria. I had to do more than one jobs to pay my tuition. When I was in the States studying now, after the training, they usually send you to a foreign country to volunteer as a missionary. I did my research and I had two options, either Romania or Philippines. So as a Jamaican national, Romania or Philippines, I'm gonna say, all right, you know what? Philippines is more accessible because at the time I met my girlfriend there on the campus. We're married now. I met her.
Wait, wait,
She's
wait, wait,
from the
wait, wait.
Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So that's where
because
we met.
I was thinking this decision was going to be hot or well warm or cold. So I thought
No.
I was thinking it made the decision because Romania, cold there, and Philippines, I think it's warm there. But
Uh,
it was the girlfriend from the Philippines that gave the
yes.
edge. No
Yes,
wife,
girlfriend
no
from
wife.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. Girlfriend from the Philippines gave the edge. and it's I can go there without a visa as a Jamaican national. So I'm sorry, this is a win-win situation. I'll meet her family. I'm gonna volunteer over there for 6 months and put to the test what I was taught to do as a medical missionary. And that's how I came to the Philippines. The very first time was 2011 for 6 months.
Wow. Wow. So let me ask you this question. How did that? I know you're married now, but what was it like meeting the parents and all of that when you got there?
Boy, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can write a whole library, encyclopedia size books of the culture shock in the Philippines. I mean, I kick and scream, and I'm gonna be honest. I kick and scream. The wife, I look upon me already, cause she know it. She know what we got you already.
Tell her to come around. I want to see
So
the look in her face.
she
I want
she
to
I
see
look
the look,
upon me already.
I
She's
want to see the
positive.
look on her face. She not coming. She
She not
hiding.
come. She not coming for the video, but no man, I went through a lot of challenges with the culture, how they eat and what they eat. Like I'm Jamaican. We don't eat rice every meal, and in the Philippines,
Wait,
Xavier,
wait, wait. Stop for a second there. Someone will eat rice practically every for dinner every day.
dinner. No, the Philippines eat rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner
Oh,
every day religiously. If you don't eat rice,
okay.
something wrong with you. Like, where's the rice? What happened to rice? You understand? And as a Jamaican who like alternate, boy, I'm tired of rice. We're like that. No, Philippines, them not tired of rice. No.
So
And
since you're on food, since you're on the food part there, what do you like? What give me a dish that you'd say apart from the rice that you'd recommend if I was to visit. If I was to visit, you say what would that be?
boy, rough. It depends. As I'm a vegan, so my choice is very limited. I don't eat like meat,
Okay.
eggs, and cheese and fish, etc. So I'm not able to really, explore much Filipino
So,
options.
so then let me ask you this way then. What have you heard visitors say is really good for us carnivores?
Okay, maybe I have a friend from Jamaica. She's over by Japan right now working. She came to the Philippines and she said the food bad. She said, David, but you know, wait them giving me eat. Me don't want the food, me nah come back. Philippines is not the ideal place for Jamaica. We're too picky with food and it don't work. I'll be honest with you.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised because I would think, we love, we love with Jamaican food, but we also love, Asian type food. And I'm a little surprised to hear a Jamaican say, well, you know what I mean? I am. What about, there must be some broths, some soups, some, noodle type, some of them type of things are is good.
No, you're not gonna find it so easy as a Jamaican. Now, if you're open-minded and you want to explore, you might be more inclined to find something. I found one dish that I like. It's called Ginatan. The first time I had it, I was culture shocked, and the reason is this thing looked like red pea soup without the peas in it. So it looked like red peas. It looks like soup. The ingredients are you get coconut milk and you're gonna cook like you're gonna cook soup, but you're gonna put ripe banana instead of green banana. Then you have some tapioca, tapioca ball or something. You know how would I make spinners for hours?
Yes.
Theirs is my wife call it tapioca. What she call it? Pearls, tapioca pearls, right? So they
Okay.
roll up the tapioca flour and you put that in it, and it looks like soup because you have the ripe banana in it. Then put sweet potato, then put jackfruit, right? And you're gonna eat this thing, and it's sweetened with sugar. It's not salty, it's not savory, it's sweetened with sugar. And I remember the first time they served it to me, I approached the thing like, all right, boy, yes, some nice pea soup here though without peas. I'm going dive into the thing and taste it. I said, something sweet, man. So what I did was I learned how to appreciate it. And anytime I go anywhere and Filipinos ask me what Filipino dish I like, I tell them, give me some Ginatan. That's what they call it, Ginatan with the bilo bilo, with the tapioca pearls.
Okay.
That's called bilo bilo. And
Right.
that's something I have grown to
All right.
appreciate.
Well, then
Right?
we will try that. If we go there, we'll try that. So, but it sounds like
Yeah.
your fruits are there. You're getting all your fruits, your naseberry, your mango, your probably even Guinea. I have heard people say that the Philippines have all the fruits you find in Jamaica. You practically can't find here. Again, I'm asking to an extent.
Okay. Good, good. With the fruits, honestly, I haven't seen Guinea yet, but
Okay.
Philippines has more fruits than Jamaica. They do have a
Mm,
lot more variety of fruits. Like once you have the money, fruits is in the Philippines all year around in abundance.
so mango all year round.
Mango all year round. Um,
Oh,
you have the cheap
wow.
berry there, jackfruit,
Right.
some other exotic fruits is here. I
Okay.
mean, honestly, I eat more fruits in the Philippines than I could actually eat in Jamaica on a daily basis.
Okay. So I'm going to switch back over to people now because you
Yeah,
started
man.
to dive into it. And what are the people like? I was kind of diving into how that first family meeting went, right? And you kind of diplomatically said, kind of, but what are the people? What are the people like?
It was a challenge. I don't know what their sources were for knowing about Jamaicans, but these people were told a bunch of negative things about Jamaican. Like my mother-in-law at the time, a girlfriend, mother-in-law, no, etc. She was told that Jamaicans are lazy and Jamaican beat up them wife. Jamaicans don't wash dishes and they treat their women like slaves. And I don't know who was telling this thing to the lady,
Oh,
but she got all the negative vibes you can think about Jamaica. And that's what she was told about
okay.
us.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here now. Is that
All right.
is that what other Filipinos think of Jamaicans, or is it that okay? I don't know if I want my daughter to marry a nice, good Filipino, so I'm going to say something negative again. I don't want to get you in trouble here, but is that
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I'm not in trouble yet. The wife, the right here, so watch me. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The average Filipino don't even know where Jamaica is located on the map. I'll start with that. They don't know. When they ask me where I'm from and I say Jamaica, they will say things like, "Oh, Jamaica," and then I say, "Do you know where that is?" They will say, "Yes," and then I say, "Where is it?" It's a part of Africa, right? So the average Filipino, blacks in the Philippines are predominantly Africans. And so when you
okay?
say Jamaica, they don't know it's a small island there in the Caribbean, right? The ones who know where Jamaica is and a little about the culture is if they have dived into the reggae music, because they do have Tagalog reggae here. There are Filipinos who grow the dreads. They sing
I
reggae
was gonna,
music
I was
in the
gonna
local
ask.
language. You
Yes,
seen that?
I've seen reggae bands from Philippines,
Yes.
and so on. Yes,
Yes, they do
so
have it here, so they would know.
right.
The other people who can relate to the Jamaican culture and where it's at are seamen. They work on a ship and they come to the port in Montego Bay or St. Anne's or Ocho Rios, there that those areas. They know Jamaica a lot more because they will say they were seamen and they traveled to Jamaica on cargo ships.
Okay,
But
I
the
see.
average Filipino down the road They
Right.
don't know where Jamaica is located, and they don't know much about culture.
But when the ones that know, usually what do they say? They know Jamaica, what do they say?
They always mention this singer Bennett, something Bennett, and I'm Jamaican. I don't know who I'm. Bennett. Davin Bennett is the name, and they always just say, "Oh yeah, me know this so and so Bennett." I don't even remember the first name of the guy. Yeah, man, this singer so and so Bennett can really sing, man. I'm just saying, okay, I don't even know who that is.
So somebody came there and sing or has a popular song and might not
Yes,
even know that they're
yeah.
popular there in the Philippines.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and they know the Miss World universe too. Oh yeah, the Jamaican girl won the thing, so they know that.
Okay.
Some will know Bob Marley and Usain
They're
Bolt's the
both
fastest guy. Yeah, they
right.
know that one as well. But
Okay.
Bob Marley is on the top of the list. Bob Marley
Okay.
is the top of the list
Okay.
with the reggae music.
So I'm going to a little different on the people thing. I know, and this is another amazing story. You're a pilot,
Yes,
right? I didn't even
yes,
touch, and I know we didn't touch on that yet. Okay,
right.
but folks, he's a missionary, medical missions, and he's a pilot. You heard the backstory he just gave in terms of him saying he did not even know he traveled to foreign. He's coming from the inner city, and he's a pilot. This man is a flies all around. So here's where I'm going with the pilot thing now. So what's one of the funniest or strangest story when you fly out to one of these small villages and you land and you get you a black Jamaican man gets off the plane, okay, on these trips. Tell me one of these interesting stories about that.
I would say the native Filipinos. If you do a study on the history of the Philippines, the original first settlers, the original Filipinos are dark skinned, curly hair. They look just like me and you. You know,
Ah,
they're dark. Don't be
yes,
fooled by
yes.
the light skin, long hair. My wife have our light skin brown in and the straight hair. That came because of 300 years of being colonized by the Spanish. They colonized the Philippines, bred with the darker Filipino, the original ones, and it produced that lighter shade with the straight hair kind of thing. So when I go around certain areas, believe it or not, amongst the original Filipinos, people will actually say, "Uy, kapatid mo," or they will say, "Your brother," because I'm dark, they're dark, so them always say, "Hey, your brother," So those people can relate to me a little bit more. And I've been in situations where I go to the hospital and they put there I'm Filipino because when the mask came to the Philippines, under a disguise mask, just the eyes, I have been mistakenly taken for Filipino before.
Okay.
Yeah, believe it
That's
or not.
no, no. I mean, I have seen, I have some friends from the Philippines, and I say, yeah, they're black Filipinos here, and they are some of the original people that were here. So,
Yeah.
good, you're verifying it. Good to know, and you're a brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's a brother. And it's the average Filipino. Anywhere I go in the Philippines and there's a darker Filipino and I'm in the room, at least one person will say, "Hey, your brother. Hey, your brother." Because they're dark, I'm dark, we're brothers. And that's how they do it.
So let me ask you this: what's been the biggest adjustment you had to make moving there?
All right, I'm from the ghetto or the hood, the inner city. We don't stare at people. Everybody know that. We have a certain instinct where don't stare at people. Filipinos like to stare at you. They like to gesticulate. They like to point fingers. And I used to find it very rude and very uncomfortable until I learned the culture and realized that I have traveled to Thailand, Singapore, China a little bit, Korea, Japan. No, not Japan, but Thailand. I've been to at least 4 or 5 different Asian countries, and I found out that of all the Asian countries I've been to, including Malaysia, the Filipinos are the most friendly and sociable amongst the Asians. And
Mm,
what I felt like was insulting and them being nosy and fast, the other Asians don't pay you any attention. I mean, I was in Thailand and people just walk like you don't exist. In the Philippines, I walk down the road. Hey, Joe. Hey, man. Where you going? Hey, man. Hey, bro. Yo. So they're more sociable, and I had to
okay.
adjust to that. I
Okay.
had people used to walk up to my girlfriend. They still walk up to her, and they will. Where is he from? How did you meet? What is like questions? I'm like, mind your own business. We are asking. So that to me was the biggest adjustment. How do I not be a rude person and
Right.
embrace the sociableness or the friendliness of the Filipino? Biggest
Okay.
adjustment. And being from the ghetto, guys, males, I've had males come up to me and feel my bicep and tell me my body good, and me naturally I think stuff in my mind, and I'm like, no, people have touched me here. I'm coming out of the jeepney. I've had kids, believe it or not, I've had children wipe them hand palm, them finger palm my skin, thinking maybe
They can
this guy
rub
have
it off.
yeah, so then they realize, wait,
It's
So
real.
that to me was the biggest adjustment.
Wow.
You know.
So, have you found any customs that are interesting there? Maybe it's the way marriages are done. Maybe it's the way Christmas is celebrated. Maybe it's the way New Year's is celebrated. Maybe it's the way people just say, if you're greeting someone and you come through the door, you have to do X. You know what I'm saying? Something,
Yeah.
any customs.
The customs here for me would be how people eat. Like there's one people will put the food, rice and the meat and everything in a big pile, and everyone just dive into that with their hand. They have a term for it. And what do they call it? Boodle fight or boodle something. They're just trying to, and as a Jamaican, we give people that kind of space and distance, but in the Philippines, people are a lot more closely knitted with each other.
Right.
Males, this is something very interesting. I'm a Jamaican, very homophobic. I if I see another male, we will shake hand or more do a fist bump. Or if we're gonna hug each other, it'll be like a handshake and we do the embrace like that, right? Filipinos will hug each other. Three guys riding on a motorcycle will be really close to each other on that motorcycle, hug up one another. Sometimes they will line other guys' lap, like the ones who ride the little tricycle. They will be hanging out and lying on another one's lap. I mean, these are grown men doing that. As a Jamaican looking at that, it was a culture shock for me. But then I realized that, back home, this would be considered, the funny guy
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
But here in the Philippines, this is the norm. Males are really close to each other. They will actually touch the butt of their friends, and they have fun doing that. So
Right.
culturally, that's their thing. They're very
Right.
open with the same sex, and they
Right.
interact with one another.
Right. Right. Okay. So, cost of living. What is cost of living like? And let me give an example of maybe US dollars or maybe even Jamaican dollars. What
Okay.
would an average meal at a, let's say, a medium restaurant, okay, what would that cost?
Um, I would say, like, if my wife and I go to a restaurant to eat something, we order rice with a protein dish and some veggies or a salad to the side. We would be spending around 2,000 Jamaican dollars for that meal, or equivalent to maybe $50, so to speak, something
Okay.
like that. But in terms of cost of living, and that's restaurant life, if you don't mess around with the restaurant and you eat at home, honestly speaking, Xavier, this is one of the reasons why I am out in the Philippines for such a long time. It's because compared to Jamaica, like I don't like to look at my wedding photos. If you look at my wedding photo, my jawbone them sink down in a hole because life is rough at Jamaica finding food. In the Philippines,
Mm.
I humbly say me can't keep up with the food I have. As a missionary who I don't get paid, I'm living off donations, random donation from donors from different parts of the world, mostly Canada, I mean, mostly America, some back home, few in other countries, whatnot. I've lived off 300 US dollars for about 3 years. And that gave me enough to feed. Sometimes in my home, I have 17 people. I've used 2 cups of rice, brown rice, to feed 7, 8 Filipinos in my home. People come to my house and say, "Boy, you eat like a king." And I said, in Jamaica, I could not eat like this. So, cost of living for me, if you're getting American currency like 3 to 500 US dollars without a vehicle, and you live in a fairly medium home, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, etc., the Philippine survival is a lot more manageable. But if you're gonna work in pesos, if you're gonna earn in Filipino currency, then you need a little bit more to keep up with a certain kind of lifestyle.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And you didn't tell us, a little bit about. I see you have the T-shirt on, Flying by Faith, but I know you again. Folks may not know this, but uh, Devin and I had crossed paths. Well, actually, one of my writers we had written a story about him some years ago, and so I know about the mission. But tell people a little bit about what you do there in terms of the medical mission itself. And hey, by all means, give a shout out to your website or your social media handles. People can check you
Sure,
out.
sure. So flying by faith is I this name was chosen by Irene, my wife, and it's because growing up in
Who
Jamaica with
refuses, by the way, who refuses to even just show her
show our face.
face to
Put
us?
here to get put on. So just gonna show your face so them see
Just
it.
to show
They're
her
Jamaican.
because
They want to see it.
I feel like she's in the room with us, but she's just not in the room with us. And we,
Good day, man.
we want to
And she
see.
understand my dialect too, believe it or not. Me talk to her just like how I talk to another Jamaican without the downtown accent and the slang
Right,
and stuff. She
right.
know it. She understand patois. You
Oh,
know.
I heard you talking to her right before, and I was like, were you talking to me? Because right before we came on camera, you said something, and I'm like, I mean, I talk to how me going to move him screen?
And she met him and met him as a movie screen. Yeah, she understands because
Yes,
when I came
obviously.
here,
But
yeah. When I came, I had no other outlet. I have to express myself in my dialect. And so I
right,
learned how to teach it to her in a way that she can understand. So I mix it with enough proper English. And then later on, I add more and more to her
more,
vocabulary.
and then she get
And
it.
yeah, we next month, May, June 2, it's gonna be 9 years since we have been married. So full blast Jamaican. Brought her there 2016 and then flood her with the patois. She looked at me, she said, Davin, man, it's so clear, boy. I understand,
So I digressed. I digressed to try and get your wife on camera, but
She
you were
coming,
telling
she
us
coming.
you were telling us about the mission and about flying by faith, and you were telling us that story.
Yeah, so Flying by Faith, I called it Flying by Faith is a summary for my journey of faith from nothing to being a missionary pilot here in the Philippines. It's been a journey of faith because I never know where the money was going to come from. And it's just random people in random situation that always steps in at the right time and say, here's some money, or an instructor that says, I heard your story, how you want to be a missionary pilot. I have an airplane, let me give you some lessons, or let me help you with this, or go flying with me to learn certain things. And so it was a journey of faith, not knowing where the resources was going to come from. So I call it flying by faith. I primarily do medevac, so I help sick people and the suffering who are in isolated areas. These are poor Filipinos who have exiled themselves into remote areas surrounded by water, or covered, are isolated by mountainous terrains,
Right.
etc. And
So you're
so I've been helping them out with airplanes to for them to survive and get
so you're
medical attention.
landing in these what water you're doing what the kind of water plane things are landed in
No,
or no, okay, all right, because that's what I'm picturing, but I'm off.
no, it's not water landing. They're small strips. Some are grass, some are paved. So they do have small airstrips. We use small airplanes. And I joined a ministry. It's called Philippines Adventist Medical Aviation Services. I joined them 2015. I got my license in California, San Diego, California, 2018. And I've been volunteering with them since 2018 after getting my license
And
as a missionary
amazing,
pilot.
amazing. So
Yeah.
what's the handles? I need to know the handles in terms of how people can check you out and check out the mission.
Very easy. If you go to Facebook, Flying by Faith, YouTube, Flying by Faith, Instagram, Flying by Faith, Twitter, Flying by Faith, TikTok, Flying by Faith, everything. Look up Flying by Faith. My website, flyingbyfaith.org. That's
Okay.
my new website, so you can find about my missions and different things that I do. Learn more about my story. Send me an email, flyingbyfaith2018 at gmail.com.
All right.
Can't lose it. Can't lose it.
So is the wife ready to make an appearance
Yeah,
for one
ready,
question?
ready. Wifey, come in there so I'll show your
Hi
face.
everyone.
The wifey,
Hello.
everybody.
How are you?
Sit down on my foot, man. Well, let me make you sit down on my foot. There. All right, there you go. All right. You
All
guys
right.
see everybody? All right.
There we go. You have us in suspense because you're behind the camera and he keeps referencing you and he keeps throwing those googly eyes because he's so much, he's like my wife of 9 years and so on. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I had to tell him. I have to make signs to let him know. Okay, you shouldn't say that. You should say this. I'm the one managing the tech stuff. But yeah, hi everyone.
So I'm gonna ask you one question because I know you're shy and you're gonna leave. I know I don't want to you just hang out. You're like, listen, get me out of here quickly. So you went to Jamaica. What is the Jamaican food that you liked?
I will not hesitate to say it's Aki.
Oh, she loves the national
Hey,
dish.
no.
I loved it so much that when I we were back here in the Philippines and we have what you call like Shopee, it's like Amazon, and they were
Uh-huh.
selling the Aki in the can, and I'm like, okay, I know this is really different, but I really miss the thing, and it's really expensive, and we're like, Davin, can we buy one can? And we're like, sure, because I had this really strong craving for it.
She
Nice.
love Aki. She will eat the tree, the limb, and everything. And good news, I brought Aki to the Philippines. It's growing and producing as we speak. So we do
Yeah.
Oh,
have
you have
Aki.
an ackee tree.
We have Aki tree. I brought enough seed, planted it, and it's growing very well in the Philippines.
All right.
Yep.
So then the next question I'm gonna ask, and I didn't even get your wife's name.
Irene.
Irene.
Irene. Okay,
Yeah.
great
Irene.
to meet you, Irene. So the next
Nice
question
to
I'm going
meet
to ask you, what was the biggest challenge learning about the Jamaican culture and what was one of the biggest challenges?
Well, one thing that I really had to adjust to with David is he's very forthright and he just says anything from his mind. Whereas as a Filipino, you keep things in and you just, try to deal with things silently. But David will tell you as it is. So I'm like, That's really.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I had a best friend in when I was in college. Well, I was doing my schooling, and she's Jamaican, and I saw she's also like that. So I'm like, maybe it's a Jamaican thing. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just Davin, but yeah, very forthright.
It's a Jamaican thing. You will know.
All right.
No, you know.
Okay.
Yes, if a Jamaican likes you, you'll know. If a Jamaican doesn't like you, you will know. There's no
Exactly.
there's for the most part, there's no diplomatic in between.
We just are saying that, hey, but I like it about you.
I
Just like,
know. Yeah.
You
no,
know?
so we have to give you one experience. Me find breadfruit in the Philippines, right? 9 years me live here. Can't find breadfruit. I went on a mission trip. I was driving, and I see a breadfruit tree. I'm a slamp on my brake, U-turn, climb the breadfruit tree, take a video, call Irene, and say, hey, you're not gonna believe what we find on this small island. She said, what? Me say breadfruit, like, Dove, Dove, Dove. She's, hey, I had to, okay, it took me 58 hours to drive to that area for the mission trip. It took me 38 hours to get back just so I can carry some breadfruit for her. She loves breadfruit. She loves
So
breadfruit, man.
Irene, you never tried breadfruit before till you met David?
No, no, no. It was my first time to taste breadfruit when I went to Jamaica with him to meet
Uh,
his mom and his friends.
Tell him
Okay.
about the juice, man. You like the Jamaica juice, them.
Yeah, when it comes to beverage, you guys got it. It's really good. Like his brother would make some concoction of something. I'm like, what is this? Oh, I don't have a recipe. I just taste this and it's good. I'm like, it's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guava, lime, and some little
yeah,
something, and then blend it up. And every drink, she knows. Anytime I'm gonna make a drink, she knows where to come to get a refreshing drink. She
yeah,
said, "Well, your hand know how to mix stuff, because Filipinos buy mostly sodas and water, and they buy everything made already.
yeah,
Jamaica, no, we like to make our beverages from scratch.
yeah.
Okay.
So she
All
loved
right.
that. She loved that.
Irene, I thank you for joining. We're almost done. So you don't have to run away. You don't have to run away because we're almost done here. It was a great, great conversation, Davin. Thank you for sharing. Irene, thank you for coming on camera. So here is where we're gonna go. Question for you, Davin. You
Yes.
land in Jamaica. You land in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
and you get off the plane. What is that first thing you're doing? Either it could be something you go eat, you go visit. What's that first thing you're doing once you land?
First thing what me I gonna do is definitely me I gonna stop a juicy beef or mothers and get at least 2 or 3 soy patty with a cocoa bread.
All right.
Yeah, and I read them on the side. I say
I told you. I told you she didn't have to leave.
she I get excited. Yeah, but that
so,
first
so,
stop,
so
two
folks,
patty,
if you're going
definitely.
if you're going to visit Davin in the Philippines, freeze his patties for him and Irene, not just for Davin, but also for Irene.
Yeah.
Freeze those soy patties and carry because if not, he's not going to welcome you.
Yeah, them have it in the Philippines, but them create some flavor when I write like tuna. There's no tuna patty at Jamaica, and then them have a Jamaican label to it. I take pictures all the time, but it's not the authentic Jamaican patty. It's a Philippine based patty. The crust looks Jamaican, but the filling is not our
Okay.
recipe at all. It's
Okay.
modified. Hmm.
All right. And so,
Yeah.
so is there a Jamaican? You're not in the main city.
I am in the main island on Luzon. That's where I'm located. So I'm like about 2 hours drive from Manila.
Right.
That's where I'm located. Yes.
Is there any Jamaican restaurants or Caribbean restaurants in Manila?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
No, not
Okay.
that I.
So then it look like you're going to have to start that up at some point. I'm just
I
I'm
do
on a mission.
in
You're
my
on a
home.
mission.
I do. I do. Once people come across, once I have visitors, I do cook some rice and peas,
Right.
and definitely, yeah, man. Or I'll make some red pea soup and say, hey, this is Jamaican. So red pea soup, rice and peas are two Jamaican dish that I always share that with Filipinos, and them
And they
love
love
it. They do love it, except the red peas one though, guys. When we cook the red pea soup, give them because they're so attractive to rice. They will take the rice and put it right in the red pea soup.
it. The
And we
soup.
just look at it and say, okay.
As we Jamaicans say, can take you out of Jamaica, but you can't take the Jamaican out of them. So
Oh,
if
no,
they're
you can't.
used to the rice, you can take, Philip, hey, they're used to the rice.
Yeah.
So again, Davin, thank you for spending some time with us. Here is how I typically end.
Yes.
How do you say goodbye in Filipino in the most informal way? In Jamaica we say, boy, catch up on the strong or a little more or later, we how you say it informally? How would you say goodbye? And you're teaching me.
Um,
You're teaching me.
Kid, well, wife, you have to tell me that kita kids. I don't know if they have the formal thing. I haven't learned that yet, but kita kids or tayo
Okay.
boca, kita tayo bocas, kita tayo mamaya. See you later or see you
That one
tomorrow.
that one there too long. Kita kids sound like something I can say.
All
So
right, kita kids. All
so
right.
Davin, thank you
Yeah.
and kita kids. Did I get
Yeah,
it right,
man.
Irene?
All right. Yes.
I need
Definitely.
Irene. I need to hear Irene say, yes, I got it right. Kita kids. All right.
Shag is the thumbs up pink video. But I mean, and as you run, there was one question here you did send me upon the list that I did want. If you could mention this in another video, that
Oh,
would
yeah,
be nice.
by all means.
And it's the last one, which is closing thoughts. Closing thoughts. Being from the ghetto side of Jamaica, I was coming from Jamaica 2009 from Canada, and I had an experience where the immigration officer, because of the address in my passport, Gordepen, he wanted to interrogate me because him say I be a bad man come from Gordepen. And my response to him was, well, the Bible say, can anything good come from Nazareth? And it was at that airport, 2009 in Montego Bay, that it dawned on me, I have to change Gordepen address from my passport so I can have life a little bit easier to come home. And, I said to myself, okay, I'm here now as a Jamaican. I'm able to fly airplane, help people. My story has been featured on so many platforms all across the world. And I want inner city youth to know that you can be in the ghetto, yes, and maybe circumstance will make you be there for a couple of years, etc. But I don't believe that the ghetto needs to be your life and your ultimate destination. Because when I was in the ghetto, I just felt and believed firmly that there has to be something on the other side of this fence, something outside of this world for me. And I persevered, I kept that mindset. And when I became a Christian, gave my heart to the Lord, He opened up the opportunity for me to travel to these different countries doing missionary work. And I just want to encourage the inner city youth to know that you don't have to give in to the gun and the violence and the drugs. There is life outside of that world of being in the inner city community. And that's why I ask you guys to allow me to come on your platform, because I'm putting out the effort to inspire inner city youth to know that maybe the way out might be to give your heart to Christ and allow Him to direct you into areas of life where you can travel and be a blessing to others.
Powerful, powerful message. I say the pastor is still in you. You may have cut it short 3 years, but it is there, and so much to unpack in terms of your journey and inspiration and again, we didn't even touch on the pilot part. We touched on it a little bit, but that alone is a journey within itself. Just amazing the work that you're doing, you know, and thank you.
Thank you as well, Xavier. Appreciate it.
There's never a final goodbye, but you know, we will be talking, and hopefully one of these days I will get to visit you and Irene in the Philippines.
Come on
now,
over. Yeah.
Kita
kids. All right. Let's go over. Babuhay. Wow, good. Blessings, everybody. One love.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.